All right, everyone, it's time to talk about why Obama failed in Asian politics and Trump so far is definitely succeeding. You've even got today, wake up. I'm looking at, the news and stuff from various sources, and I've told people where I aggregate, and I'm seeing a report, maybe Trump appears to have backed China and North Korea into a corner. They're receptive now. He's actually managed to back them down. The legacy media is declaring there's a possibility that Trump's foreign policy worked. Wow, you don't realize how significant that is. That almost shatters the one-dimensionality propaganda illusion that they built up just to try to denigrate his support. Oh, trust me, Trump's going to do just fine. It looks like he's going to do fairly well in foreign policy, which is something I never even really expected or cared about. Look, for me, Trump's a money president. It's about taxes and jobs and wages and economic growth and things like that. That's his forte. That's what he's good at. That's what he's specifically best at. If he adds foreign policy to that, he definitely gets reelected. If in the next few years he can actually bring us closer to a solution in North Korea and things like that, he'll do just fine. Trust me, it'll be Trump 2020. Absolutely. He'll be a second-term president. It doesn't matter how bigoted he supposedly is. Trust me, nobody will even be talking about that. They'll be talking about how much money they have and how they're glad that North Korea agreed to hold bilateral talks. That's what they'll be talking about. And Trump will crow about it. He'll say, aren't we winning again, America? And people will roar with approval and they'll reelect him. He'll get more states than he got before. Trust me. You don't see it now. Okay. Go ahead and discount my prediction then. Of course, being contingent upon him doing well in foreign policy. Now, if the Democrats did manage to retake the House, I suppose they could stymie parts of that, but I don't think that they would bother. So it's quite clear at this point with guns and Korea and everything else, he's not far right. People still think he is. Taxes. It's where he's an actual conservative, which, by the way, is a great thing. Here's why Obama failed and Trump succeeded. There's an article, link in the description, archived link. And they're like, Trump can't approach negotiation with North Korea like a reality show. And when I saw that, I chuckled because it's actually totally false. He should approach it like a reality show. That's why he's succeeding. Look, the proof is in the pudding. 8 years of Obama presidency. Does he get anything accomplished at all with China, or do relations break down? Does he get anything accomplished with North Korea, or do they begin developing more atomic weapons and to the point where they get an H-bomb? Now, he failed. He totally failed on both counts. He goes to China, last official state visit. Goes to China. They don't even greet him at the airport. You know what Obama should have done when they didn't greet him at the airport? Instead of looking like an idiot, looking like a fucking jackass, as Obama would say about like Kanye or something. I know people were talking about, now Trump said SOB and it was like a great coup, a great problem. And meanwhile, you got a dozen Obama swearing quotes. Nobody talked about them. They said, oh, he's so personable. You know what he should have done? He should have turned around, gotten back on the plane, left, come back to the United States, and then called them and said, fuck you. That's what Trump should have done to China when they didn't roll out the carpet for him. It wasn't a situation of, well, this greeting is a little lackluster. It's just, the premiers here, a couple of ambassadors and a rug, basically. Okay, at least it's a greeting. It's a sign of respect. Hey, you are a foreign leader. You are important. Our relationship as two nations is important. Do you know why they didn't roll out the carpet or greet him? Because they knew that nothing would be accomplished, because they don't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. There's no reason to respect Obama. He draws a red line in the sand. The red line is crossed and he does nothing. He did this several times in Syria. He also did it in North Korea. On an international stage, he was an embarrassment. Here's the thing. Western European politicians and some Gulf state politicians they loved Obama. They loved him because he was, he's soft like them, decadent. He'd just shake hands and drink wine and talk about how much you love one another's cultures and how great everything is, how perfect the Western world is, and our style of politics is the best. Our style of diplomacy is supreme, says Obama. I'm not going to do, bad, nasty things. I'm not going to bluff. I'm not going to threaten people. But that's what Trump is willing to do. That's why he's respected in Asia. Because most of the world doesn't conduct politics like Western Europe or the Gulf states. Hey, well, imagine that. If you go to Russia and you look weak and you expect it to be like when you go to Paris, you're not going to get much accomplished. Why? Obama goes. Poor Putin. No, really, I mean that. He goes to Russia on the one time he visits. You remember that picture where he and Putin are just... They're sort of sitting there in a bored, sad manner. You know why Putin is, you know why Obama's sad? Because he gets there, he realizes that Putin isn't going to be Francois Hollande. You know why Putin is sad? Because he realizes that Obama is not going to be Jinping. That's why. They don't respect one another. There's a disconnect in the way that diplomacy is accomplished. Look, it's sort of the frenemy scenario. When Trump goes to China, he's not among friends. He's among people that ultimately they're economic and potentially military competitors. But he respects them. He respects them because he looks at Jinping and he says, Jinping's sort of like me in the boardroom. I'm God in the boardroom. He can't be God as president, but that's his leadership style, his diplomatic style is very commandeering. That's why he's going to succeed, I think, in Korea. I don't think he achieves denuclearization. But it's going to be a far cry better than with Obama. What does Obama do? Obama says, don't you test that weapon. They test it, he shuts up and does nothing. More sanctions for you. Trump, meanwhile, has gotten China to agree to sanctions. He's gotten them to the table. He goes to China, and it's just about the biggest fucking celebration you can imagine. It's like, I think they were celebrating the fact that finally the U.S. president wasn't a pussy, to tell the truth. By the standards of East Asian politics, Obama was a pussy. That was his problem. Does well with Western Europe, does well with the Gulf states. It's fine, you can shake hands and drink on. Here's the problem. We're already allied with those states. It doesn't matter if you're good at conducting diplomacy with a state that you're already good friends with. What's going to happen? One minor thing happens with Trump. It's like with Merkel. You remember, what happened when Obama got into a tizzy with Merkel over revelations from Snowden that her private cell phone had been bugged by the NSA? What happened? She lodges a complaint. I'm very sorry. Didn't know what was going on. Here's a letter, a condolence. Here's some chocolate. And they smooth things over. That's the way that Western European politics happens. What would have happened if it had been Duterte? Somebody like that. It would have been, I'm going to cut your head off. I'm going to drink your spleen fluids. I'm going to vaporize Hawaii. I fucking hate you. Slams the phone down. A month later, then you can talk. That's how you conduct diplomacy with people in cultures. The funny thing is, all those people saying Trump is xenophobic and ethnocentric, he's almost the globalist when it comes to diplomacy. His diplomatic style is totally different from the Western European sort of, we're very insular, the NATO states, we all get along and talk to each other, everyone else is a barbarian mentality. That's what Obama's problem was. He looked down upon the strategies and styles of other cultures because he didn't understand. He couldn't bring himself to act like that. Trump can, because he's a good actor. He's exactly what Ronald Reagan. Same thing. Ronald Reagan, he was an actor. Why do you think that he did well? Foreign policy. Threatens to nuke. Threatens, we're going to put weapons in space. We got so much military spending. Hey, I don't care if they're mushroom clouds. I'm fucking Ronald Reagan. I'm fucking demented and crazy. And it scared the living shit out of our enemies. Why do you think he was... Even among people who didn't like the policies. Because you have a strong left-right sort of dichotomy back. And you have the punk movement really hates him. There's a reason for that. Socialists fucking hate him. Commies fucking hate him. Why do you think they were willing to meet with him? Because they don't want to get nuked. Because they think maybe he's actually crazy. Trump has managed to do the same thing. He successfully, it must be because, wasn't he talking to Kissinger for a while there? Yeah, I wonder where he got the idea from. He's backed China into a corner. They've got to negotiate. Look at the tariff situation. What do you think's actually going to happen? I'll tell you what's going to happen. It's going to hurt their economy, and they're going to negotiate. And then he'll get rid of the tariffs, but they're going to have to give him a little bit of what he wants. Now, here's the thing. By going in hard, he's created a situation in which the best that they can get is the old status quo minus a few things. They can't gain anything. He's done the same thing with NAFTA negotiations. He's tying them to the tariffs for Canada and Mexico. He did it with DACA, with the Democrats. At the very most, they get to maintain DACA. Right now, the court is protecting him because the Ninth Circuit knows full well what Trump is doing. No, but how do people not even notice it at this point? He's done it a dozen times. He's done it a dozen times. He sets up a situation in which even if he gives up everything that he's created in recent memory, his enemy at most gets the status quo. That's all they can get. The cap on what they can get is what they used to have already. He's created a situation in which any negotiation inevitably favors him. That's what he's created. And he can do it multiple times with the same party because they're so dumb they don't even notice what he's doing, I guess. Media doesn't notice. They don't talk about it. The Democrats haven't mentioned the strategy. Even his fans rarely talk about it. It's like a red letter day when you find someone who even knows what Trump is doing in negotiating. It's crazy. It's like they don't know anything about his book. They don't know Scott Adams. They didn't listen to my predictions. They didn't listen to anything, Lichtman or anything. By the way, Trump has 6 of the keys to the White House. He needs 1 more. I think he probably gets it with foreign policy. And he probably gets it with the fact that there's not likely to be as strong a third party show in the next election. So he's probably got all 7 already. He probably gets reelected. people looking at his approval ratings. Oh, okay, let's compare that to the approval ratings for Congress. All he has to do is run against them. Presidents have done that before and won. He'll be fine. Don't worry about it. The economy is good. That's all he needs. At this point, he gets 2 keys just from the economy being good. The Democrats didn't have that advantage before. He's the charismatic money president. He's adding foreign policy to his portfolio. That's pretty damn good. Asian politics suffered badly under Obama. Bush was better. Think about that for a moment. Bush was better at dealing with the Chinese than Obama was. Now Obama, yeah, he's smart, coherent, yes, personable. That's the problem. Being personable is not a good thing in diplomacy in many parts of the world. No, you want to be the big man, the strong man. You bluff against your opponent. It's like 2 cobras facing off. They extend their hoods. You're not actually going to strike. That's not the point. You're making yourself look big to avoid conflict and to negotiate, to hammer things out. You don't do that with Western European politics. You don't get the ambassador from Germany and the ambassador from the UK threaten to beat each other with fireplace tongs until they settle down, agree to just drink it out. That's not what happens in Western Europe or the Gulf states, but it is what happens in other parts of the world. Don't be ethnocentric. If you intend to be the president of the United States, you need to understand that. There are differences between cultures. They're not all one global mess. It's not globalism yet. They're different. The strategies are different. Yeah, you can put on a suit. It doesn't change the diplomatic style, just changes the way you look. The fact that a Duterte comes out wearing a suit doesn't mean he's still not still Duterte. Or Jinping or Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un can wear a suit. It doesn't matter if he puts a suit on. He's still Kim Jong-un. He threatens routinely to nuke people, and yet somehow he's still there. How can this be? How can it be he can threaten to use nuclear weapons, the worst thing to a Westerner, and yet he never presses the button? It's not because he's a coward. It's not because he's actually nuts. It's a strategy. It's a diplomatic strategy. Now, I think that through accident or through conventional strikes, which are part of that diplomatic arrangement, unfortunately, I think eventually nuclear war is likely in the Korean Peninsula. Unfortunately, I say that. This is like our last chance to stop that. If Trump goes in there and acts like Obama and says, is very sour and westernized, he's not going to get anywhere. Kim Jong-un will smell that weakness a mile away. To him, it's weakness. And he'll say, he's not going to do shit. I'm going to keep testing these weapons, keep building more of them, because, I can develop my true deterrent, overrun South Korea. U.S. won't be anywhere. They won't do anything. They wouldn't dare. That's the long-term goal. If you allow it to happen. Trump doesn't want to allow it to happen. This is the one thing he's been most consistent on outside of money and jobs, has really been North Korea. Since the 1990s, he's been warning about this. He's warning, he's like, when Clinton goes over, he's like, I don't know, I don't think it's a good idea. Give him nuclear technology. He was right. When he says early Bush era, he's like, you better take care of it now or there are going to be 10 times more weapons and bigger weapons over there, and then you have a problem. He was right. Now he's warning, hey, they're going to get that deterrent eventually, and there's going to be a bit, the final problem then erupts. He's right. Yeah, and he's going to try to stave it off. And if his legacy is manage to shake hands with Kim Jong-un and get some sort of deal hammered out, probably with China and South Korea involved, he will go down on foreign policy as one of the greater presidents. We won't be at the bottom of the heap in the presidential greatness rankings. It's going to be very difficult to make the argument for that come the future. If he succeeds, it's contingent upon him having success. I hope that he goes in there acting like he's walking onto The Apprentice. I hope he goes into there looking like he's about to deliver an interview to a tabloid. I hope that's the Trump that emerges when he goes to talk to Kim Jong-un. It's the best possible thing you can think of. That will get him to back down further. You can actually get something accomplished. But if he goes in and he's weak, or he's perceived of as weak, why would they want to negotiate with him? They'll just mock him. They'll do what China did to Obama on his last visit. Say, oh yeah, go ahead, we can't wait to see you, Mr. Obama. No greeting ceremony, nothing. Again, meanwhile, Trump, how was he received in China? Jesus Christ, it looked like it was like 100 concerts. Better than anything, better than the Macy's Day Parade, because Trump shows up. Because they're like, oh, finally a U.S. president that, kind of gets it. That isn't Obama, in other words. It's not just Obama. We've had other presidents who have been piss poor on foreign policy in one area or the other. One big problem is there's such a divide between, the Western style of politicking and everyone else. It'd be difficult for someone to master both. So far, Trump is better on East Asia and some of the Central Asian states. He's better in Eastern European style politicking, big man sort of thing. Now, looking strong and charismatic, he's better at that than he is shaking hands and being very demure, being very calm and friendly like maybe a Hollande. He's not so good at doing that. It's just not his style. But we don't have to worry about losing the friendship of France or Germany because Trump is brash. Look, Ronald Reagan was basically the same. They're like, oh, Mr. Reagan, please don't threaten the Soviets today. Oh, we're going to have Star Wars. Oh, shit, Mr. Reagan. Did we lose our alliances? No. They just got more solidified because of the reaction of other parties, which were highly negative, and they seemed more off-kilter than Reagan. So it didn't matter. That's about all. Peace out.